Ah, so you come crawling back, you cheap sack of shit.
It has happened, hasn't it? This is Six of the Universe. So much happened yesterday. Breaking down just everything. I'll start with what I started that clip with. The coward return. Oh, I'm gonna sit out the whole year. Oh, I'm never gonna play a puppy again. Oh, we're gonna find you. I'm back. Come on, man. You gotta stop being. Okay. You gotta stop looking for the easy way out. You look for the easy way out from the jump shot. You look for an easy way out from improving and developing. You look for the easy way out, a Philly. You look for the easy way out of every situation you've ever come across in your life. And now it's just plain sad. So now you basically report back, tail between your legs, after losing $1 million. Quite frankly, you should fire your agent for being incompetent enough or stupid enough to tell you, oh yeah, you can sit at home and not get paid, and we'll get our money back eventually. Oh, come on. You can't make this up. You can't make it up that a professional basketball player with a supposed professional agent, which he's not, you would think that you would get better advice than, oh, you could just piss away $1 million and we'll get it back. Wow. And then there's the parts on what it means now that he is back. My feelings are very similar to Romp 2.0 if you've seen his video. We saw the Raptor game at home and we saw the game last night. In those two preseason games, I have seen all of the evidence of the things that, shout out to DJ Eastwood, Running Back Nation, things that he's talked about, things I've talked about. What would it look like if instead of having somebody hanging around the dunker spot, you had another shooter, a real guard on the floor who could break down the defense? What would that look like? Well, in both games, we saw what it looks like. It's absolutely incredible. And can we just say that Andre Drummond has become my favorite Sixer? If he took his career at the level of profession that he's taken the last couple of preseason games, Andre Drummond would still be an all-star and still be making a shitload of money. This is absolutely incredible. I never thought that I would use the words Andre Drummond and rim protector in the same sentence. His offensive production isn't overly surprising, although he's never been known really for being an offensive threat. But the level of energy that Andre Drummond is giving the team on the defensive side of the ball is special. It really is. It's incredibly special, and I hope that this continues throughout the season and in the playoffs. If Andre Drummond can give me that energy, that effort on the defensive end of the floor, and then offensively, maybe there was a little bit of overreaction to the first game, new system, etc. I still don't want to see Andre Drummond in a high post exclusively, but one of the things about that high post position, especially when it comes to cutters and open shooters, you gotta know who your teammates are, you gotta know your timing, you gotta know your rhythm, and things of that nature. And again, Andre Drummond has never played that role really in his career, but so far it really, really looks impressive. And you kind of get the feeling that this is the thing that Doc wanted to do, because we saw Dwight Howard in a similar role, only except Dwight Howard, obviously, if I don't want Drummond there every day, I don't think any one of us wanted Dwight Howard there at all. Butterfingers that Dwight Howard is. Andre Drummond, to his credit, I'm not going to say he has Jokic hands, but I will say he's functional enough in that capacity that if the Sixers want to do this, it spreads the floor, it opens up a different passing option than a high post. As long as it's in the balance of what we're doing, then I say go for it. Because while we talk about the game, and we could start here, what the Sixers were doing, and I don't know how much of this is going to change now that 2-5 is back in the fold, but I really enjoy the creativity on offense. And I mean creativity in terms of X's and O's. Because it's basically a 5-out Princeton offense, where the Princeton is where you get all those cuts and screens and backdoors. And so when Andre Drummond, he's taking the ball and he's dribbling to that left corner or to the right corner, there's really two reads that Andre Drummond can make. Now, if Andre Drummond were a jump shooter, I'd say there'd be 3 reads you could make. But that's what Joel Embiid. Joel Embiid has 3 reads, but Andre Drummond has 2 reads. The one read is to the cutter to the rim, and the other read is the weak side shooter. Those are your 2 reads. And depending on how the defense plays it, either the shooter is left open or the cutter is left open. I guess technically the third option for Andre Drummond that we have seen is Andre Drummond taking the ball from the top and entering into the post like Joel does. And it's been more productive than I thought. The first game, terrible. But in the second Raptor game and last night against the Nets, now to be fair, the Nets absolutely blow defensively. And people just don't recognize this, especially with Kyrie doing his thing. But even if Kyrie weren't doing his thing, you got the 3 best scorers on the planet, sure. But if you can't stop Isaiah Joe and Korkmaz, and we're going to get to those guys in a second, but if you can't stop that, you're not going to win 4 games in the second round. You're just not. You're not going to beat a Milwaukee Bucks team. You're not going to beat an Atlanta Hawks team. Because to beat those teams, you got to stop people for the last 5 minutes, and you're not stopping shit with that. So if I'm a Brooklyn Nets fan, they're every bit the pretender that we are. Because they can't stop anybody. Like, you couldn't guard Burkan Korkmaz and Isaiah Joe. Like, imagine preseason or otherwise. But I want to say this because it's very similar to the second game with the Raptors. The Nets regulars played for 28-ish minutes. That might as well have been a regular season game in terms of the rotation. NBA preseason and NFL preseason are 2 different beasts. Yes, there's absolutely nothing you can take away from the NFL preseason. NFL preseason is completely, totally worthless. I don't even know why the NFL has it. It's not like you're making money from it from a league standpoint. Abolish the offseason. Well, not abolish the offseason. Abolish the preseason. From an NFL standpoint, abolish it. What purpose does it serve? It doesn't serve any purpose at all. So just get rid of the preseason from an NFL standpoint. But in the NBA, for even NFL level type of continuity of get your reps in for a couple of possessions, that still means playing anywhere from, we saw what Joel Embiid did in 8 minutes. He is an animal. But seriously, 15 minutes, 16 minutes, 20-ish minutes, 2 quarters, instead of 2 to 4 snaps, you got I bet that's probably anywhere from 40 to 45 possessions in a basketball game. 3 to 4 times more the workload, the opportunity, the development that you'll ever get in NFL preseason. NFL preseason is shit. NBA preseason has 10 times more value. Just because you have 10 times more opportunities in an NFL preseason. NBA preseason, sorry. I just wanted to go on that 1 minute rant there because our young players are showing encouraging signs, and some people are like, well, it's the preseason. And another thing about the NBA preseason, the difference from the NFL preseason, yes, in the NFL you got the third, fourth, fifth, sixth stringers playing meaningful NFL snaps in a preseason. The NBA is like that. The 13th to the 15th man, they don't get on the floor. Oh, we're going to get to that for a Sixer case because I have another man incoming on the miserable first round. Oh my God. I can't get over it. How did that happen? But that's later. The point is, your 12th man or your 15th man, even in preseason, doesn't get much run. Why? Because again, in NBA preseason, there's the opportunity to get your reps in, and teams are going to take advantage of that. Long story short, what we're seeing from Furkan in this particular role, well, he only played this role really for one game, but there is something substantial to take away from Furkan Korkmaz playing some guard minutes at point. Because if we think about this, and anyone who's followed Furkan Korkmaz, we all know that Furkan Korkmaz in the Olympics and even in the summer leagues, remember, just a totally different, explosive, dynamic scorer. You put Furkan Korkmaz at the top of the key at 6'7", all of a sudden it's different. When Furkan was drafted, I was looking at him and I'm like, if this kid bulks up, well, he wasn't really able to really bulk up that much. And I think it's time for us to say, he might not be a wing, but he's a damn tall guard. Because against smaller guards, that bulk question thing, that's no longer a concern. There isn't a guard in the league that can guard Furkan Korkmaz. Seriously. What 6'2", 6'3" guy is going to be able to stick Furkan? So, all of the inconsistencies and the inconsistency in shooting the ball or creating separation and some of the things like that, when I saw Furkan Korkmaz do what he did against the Nets offensively, I asked myself the question, what if we've been forcing Furkan Korkmaz at the wing position? Very similarly to how Doc Rivers continues to force Shake Milton at guard. And that should no longer be a thing because Shaq Harrison looks like a better guard than Shake Milton. Seriously. But what if we've been doing this all along with Furkan Korkmaz? What if you're not a wing, but you're a tall guard? A tall shooting point guard-ish. The way you can take advantage of those smaller guards in the NBA. That's my serious thought from last night. I would put Furkan Korkmaz in the guard spot, and this rotation has become so crowded and so confusing because a lot of players, their stocks went up and down. This has been an unusual preseason for a lot of reasons, but the biggest one is because of 2-5 absence. A lot of guys got an opportunity that they never would have gotten, and now you're thinking about their careers in a totally different light than you would have 3 weeks ago. Like, Furkan Korkmaz, point guard, if you had told me that before, I would have been like, yeah, that's nice. What creation ability does he have? Now, that will get to the discussion of point guard, because once again, I feel like the conversation needs to be had with Sixer Nation, Sixer Twitter, etc. Because a lot of people still don't understand. Just like NFL quarterbacks vary, there's a variance in point guards. No two point guards are alike. Seriously. And you can win with different point guards. It does not always have to be a top 10 guy in assists. Chauncey Billups barely averaged over 7 assists in one season and barely over 6 assists another season. Chauncey Billups was never a pure point guard. He was never that guy. But what led him to a championship in Detroit, what made him a very good player in his Denver stint? He makes shots, he's a great defender, and he's very low turnovers. In fact, I would argue that having a low turnover rate is probably more important than your high assists. I'm serious. Everything that I've watched in the games, you've seen what the Lakers have discombobulated with Russell Westbrook turning the ball over. When you see all of that, it makes me think now, what if instead of grading a point guard from his assists, let's grade him from his ability to control tempo and grade him from his ability to control the ball. Because if you grade him on those two things, you'll come away with a different perspective. But my point is, if you had told me that Korkmaz was going to be a point guard before this started, before Ben Simmons held out, I would have been like, oh, that's cute. But it's real. I am really intrigued by the possibility of Korkmaz as a guard, as a point guard particularly. So I'm going to get into the nitty-gritty of what I saw, the particulars from the point guard spot. We'll start with Furkan since I've been on with him. As I said, there are different types of point guards, and I want to mention the 3 types of point guards, and I'm going to give you the name of each different type by the end of it. I mentioned, we've already talked about 2. I'll mention the one for last. We mentioned the pure point guard, the low shots, high assists, you're not really that big into the offense. And as I told you before, it's nearly extinct. You're not going to find a guard like that. I said it before Doc finally admitted it. I think people need to accept it. The pure point guard prototype is dead and has been dead since 1999. Seriously, since 1999, it does not exist. It does not exist. The only pure point guard, well, pure in that, again, 80, 90 cents of the pass not being involved, we all know it's 2-5. So you got your pure point guard back, but honestly, after watching the 2 preseason games, anyone with an appreciation for offense in 2021, I don't know how you could go back to that. I don't know how you could go from, we have the most dominant center on the planet, and because he's the most dominant center on the planet, in any one-on-one situation, he's going to absolutely feast. And if we put 4 shooters and scorers around him, it will make double teaming this guy nearly impossible. Because again, 60% from 2 is the rough equivalent of 45% from 3, according to the analytical numbers, whatever. Do I subscribe to it totally? No. But from a league defensive standpoint, from an analytical standpoint, they do. So you're going to leave a Seth Curry open? No. You're going to leave Danny Green open? No. Are you going to leave Tobias Harris open if he becomes more of a catch-shoot guy like he said he will? No. You're not going to leave those credible shooters open to double Embiid, and especially, and this is the great part about what Embiid did last night, Embiid made a concentrated effort, even in his dominance in scoring, of setting up his teammates. 3 assists, 0 turnovers in only 8 minutes. Phenomenal. And, I will probably make a separate Joel Embiid video because this analyst kind of got a little long, but let me just say, there's a lot to take away from what Joel Embiid did. But if you can have 4 shooters around him, it's impossible to double. And if he makes the kind of reads that he made, in that game, what Doc said last year is going to double exponentially. If you don't double him, we're going to score. If you do double him, we're going to score. As long as Embiid keeps making decisions like that, that saying is going to ring true all year long. And quite frankly, it's enjoyable. It's beautiful. I want to watch that for the whole of this year. That puts my Ben Simmons stance clearly. I do not want him here. Unless he contributes to the 5-out attack. He does not have we will not win a championship with Ben playing the way he plays. And we will not get the best version of one of the best players on the planet with Ben as he plays. as much as Ben Simmons has been a bitch, and as much as Rich Paul has been a bitch, they're right about one thing and one thing only. This doesn't work. It doesn't work anymore. It doesn't work. It handicaps the best player on the planet. Ben doesn't care to improve his game. So why would you go through this? Seriously, what purpose does it have? I don't think it has any purpose at all. So, if it were me, it's not about getting a superstar. That'd be great, Dale. But I'm realistic. I just want this guy out of here. Because he's handicapping my superstar, handicapping my organization. $33 million that isn't geared towards the best player on the planet and how we need to win a championship with him. I have zero value and zero interest in this guy coming back unless he's willing to take the open 16-footer. Unless he's willing to do that for this team, unless he's willing to accept his role on this team, I see no reason, rhyme, or purpose in keeping this guy here for him to go back into the dunker spot to bring another man to Joel Embiid in the post. I don't see the reason for it. Especially, here's the thing about the team's offense in the 2 preseason games. If the starters had played a full 48, I think they could have scored over 130 plus on the Raptors. Same thing with the Nets. They were on that 130 pace. The starters have been absolutely incredible. The complementary players with your superstar. If the offense is that consistently dominant in regular season action, I want to see that. I don't have any interest in seeing 6'10" dunker spot guy because he can run up an open court and dunk. That's not entertaining to me anymore. And that's the other thing. Forget the competitive side of it. It's not entertaining watching this guy. He can run, he can dunk, he can pass it out to a corner. I damn near saw it all. If Ben Simmons was the circus actor he is, this is a circus that has played out every trick that it has. I'm not interested. I'm not interested anymore. Period. There's nothing you can do to get me interested in 2-5. The only thing I'm interested in is hearing Wojbomb, the Sixers have traded Ben Simmons to either the Indiana Pacers, Minnesota Timberwolves, or whoever. That's the only thing I care about. Anything else is inconsequential. Because what we saw in those 2 preseason games, that is what will lead to a championship. Not Ben Simmons in a dunker spot. I'm sorry to be the one to tell the truth, but Ben Simmons does not make this team better on the offensive side of the ball. And even defensively, it's becoming a little bit overstated. So this was already getting long, but I'll make it a little longer. Fuck it. Okay. Korkmaz is a scoring point guard. And when you use the word point guard now, I'm not using it as in, oh my God, that is his natural position. It's certainly closer to it than a wingman, but we never saw him play there until now. But if he were to be a point guard, he would be more of the scoring variety. Similarly to Maxey, but I will say this. Korkmaz, him with the ball in his hands, it's kind of similar to Shake in that you're going to use your shot to set up everything else. But I feel like Korkmaz, he's more light-footed than Shake Milton. Handles a little bit better than Shake's. So you could see that Furkan, even in pressure situations when the Nets try, pathetically, but try to guard him up. You see him pointing and then he's able to dish it off for a dunk. I thought that Furkan, I would give Furkan a B+ for the way he handled his point guard reps. There was just this sequence in the third quarter where Furkan, he was cooking it, throughout the first half and the early part of the second half where Furkan was just feeling himself. And then that's the problem with combo guards, scoring guards, is once you start feeling yourself, you're dancing around with the ball, you're taking ill-advised shots, turnovers that you would not have made. So there was that sequence in the third quarter where Furkan was losing it. But for the most part, I want to see Furkan Korkmaz point guard minutes. I really do. In fact, point guard is becoming a little bit crowded as I like each and every one of the Sixer young players. So that was Furkan Korkmaz. Then you go into Tyrese Maxey. Tyrese Maxey has been the most scrutinized in this preseason process because we all rightly expect him to be the successor to 2-5 once he leaves. And there's this whole new narrative coming out now that, is Tyrese Maxey a playmaker? And I'm like, okay, the dude got you nearly 5 assists, twice in 2 games that he played in under 20-ish minutes. Like, I'm not sure how many more assists you would have needed to see from Tyrese Maxey from a playmaking perspective. I thought in that Raptor game, I thought he was hitting his people. I thought he had a real strong connection with Jordan Yang. He had another nice connection with Furkan Korkmaz. Playmaker Tyrese Maxey is pretty solid because, again, like Furkan, Tyrese is a combo guard. His scoring is factored into the grade of passing, okay? With Ben, you don't factor it in because he doesn't do it. But if you look at Tyrese, you look at Furkan, how they play the position, you have to factor in their scoring with their passing and grade it together. So when you consider Tyrese's elite speed, elite change of direction, ability to get to the rim, you're able to suck in all that gravity, and we see Tyrese is starting to get to the kickouts. He's a second-year player with this elite physical skill. Give it time. No, he is not going to come out the gate and average 11 assists. I'm sorry. But, again, unlike Doc with the whole Rondo thing, it was never what I was looking for. But anyway, Tyrese is a combo guard, a very highly skilled one, and one who should get a lot of minutes. So both of those guys are combo guards, and they are special in their way. Korkmaz will use the shot, Tyrese elite speed. So that brings us to the third guard, who was absolutely spectacular, special tonight once again. Isaiah Joe. And remember, I said third type of point guard. This type of point guard is so non-extinct, it's even more non-extinct than the pure point guard. Who is the third point guard? This is the type of point guard. It's the 3-and-D point guard. I think the only one that comes close is Mike Conley. There's no other guard who exists like this, where you're a point guard who is an elite 3-point shooter or a pretty good 3-point shooter who can also play defense, but you're largely off of the ball. This type of point guard rarely exists. Derek Fisher was a big part of the Lakers' 3-peat championships because of the uniqueness of that 3-and-D point guard position. Derrick Rose was the pioneer of 3-and-D. I think Malcolm Brogdon on the championship team would also be another 3-and-D point guard. But generally speaking, this is rarer than combo guards. Hey, if pure point guards don't exist, 3-and-D point guards, that's what makes what Isaiah Joe did. I was saying just the other day, remember, I was like, Isaiah Joe has Andre Iguodala level defense, and he showed it again last night. Andre Iguodala level defense, with that alone, you're going to get on the floor. But if you're telling me you have Andre Iguodala level defense, elite 2-guard size, and you are a Derek Fisher level point guard, Tyrese Maxey has competition for starting point guard. Actually, to be honest, I would start Joe and Maxey together in the backcourt. But if Doc is telling me I only had to pick one, it's a very hard debate because Joe and Maxey give me different things that both complement Joel Embiid. Tyrese Maxey, his speed, his athleticism, his ability to get to the rim, his scoring threat is going to open up a lot for Joel Embiid. Isaiah Joe's shooting gravity, his ability to play off the ball, and his size and defense versatility, 100% everything that Joel be ordered. In fact, Isaiah Joe should be a starter regardless of what happened with 2-5. Sorry, Danny Green, you're 35 years old. Hit the bench. Isaiah Joe should be a starter for this team. You know, whether he is a C&D point guard or whether he is a wing shooter with Iguodala level defense. Either way, Isaiah Joe has to start. He has to start, Doc. I might even be more in love with Isaiah Joe than Tyrese Maxey, which is incredible. Both of those guys are very high futures in this league, but if Isaiah Joe is not in the starting lineup, we have problems. Some might be wondering, you know, it's preseason, there's going to be a taping. Here's the thing. Yes, it's true that there's tape, but the NBA, even more than the NFL, copy league. Everybody knows everybody, all right? The real question as it relates to that is it replicable? Is Isaiah Joe's shooting replicable? He was a pretty damn good shooter in Arkansas. And yeah, his shooting ebbed and flowed in his rookie year. But generally speaking, is that defense replicable? Hell yes. That ability to get into the grill of a defender, as I said, the point of attack. If you have that effort, if you have that understanding of ball space and how to get into the ball space of a ball handler, those defensive instincts don't go away just because the games start to count. So that high-level defense, that's going to be there. His ability to shoot open shots is going to be there. Joel Embiid in the post is going to be there. It isn't one of this, oh my God, he is flashing in such a way that is unbelievable. Oh my God, you know, the NFL version of this is wait till pads are on. This isn't that. He looks, not even looks, he is a very solid NBA player in this league. The things that he is flashing are unreal to be a fluke. I'll put it that way, unreal to be a fluke. That's not fluke performance. That high-level defense, I hadn't seen Andre Iguodala level defense since Ben Simmons. If you don't play defense like that, it's not a fluke. You are dogging it on the defensive end of the floor. And by dogging, I mean you're a hungry dog who runs faster. You are just incredible on the defensive end of the ball. He's my starter, no matter what. Isaiah Joe is a starter, not in the rotation. He is a starter. He is one of the top 5 players on this team if you are serious about complimenting Joel Embiid. Or we could just say that we're serious about complimenting Joel Embiid, but never putting the talent around Embiid. So what is it going to be, Doc? Are we for real? Because if we're for real, put the C&D wing shot guard. Put as many shooters around Embiid as possible. And if Ben Simmons isn't willing to shoot, he's not a part of this. Period. It's time to build around Joel Embiid. Sixers universe. Peace.